Crimson Desert has gotten a lot of hype as well as a lot of skepticism. And today I want to dive into the game because I have hands-on and seen a couple hours of new gameplay. There's a bunch of stuff as official trailers. I'll showcase some of that. And I'll showcase the deeper dive gameplay things that didn't come from the official channel. That being said, in the background, you'll be checking all that out. And I want to talk about my hands-on and the overall issues that I think most people are going through right now, wondering maybe what is this game and should we be hyped or should we be worried? And the reason I'm making this video is because one thing I've noticed, and rightfully so in the community in gaming, people tend to have a protective mentality. What does that mean? That means that they're most likely skeptical and they might be pessimistic, others completely negative when it comes to games, saying, oh, that game is too good to be true, or I'm not going to hype myself up. And while I understand the mentality, I don't agree with it. I personally love to be excited and always get intrigued by movies, games, and music and anything else in life, because life is too short to be sitting here on the cup is half empty all the time. With all that being said, clearly, this game is doing so much and it is exciting and interesting when you look at it from afar, just as far as combat goes, the creativity, and even the other elements in the game, whether it is the living world and the way you can combine different things, different abilities to not only fight bosses but figure some things out in the game as well. So I really love that feature of it, and we're going to talk about that as well. But yeah, so I just want to, before we get into it, let you guys know that I understand, and this video is going to be a compromise because I am more on the optimistic side of life. My cup is half full, even when it's almost empty. I still stay grateful, and I think that allows me to live with gratitude. But in gaming spaces, it's totally understandable to be careful. You shouldn't spend your time or money on something that isn't worth it for you. Okay. With that being said, I have had hands-on and I fought 5 different bosses in the game, and each of the bosses were very unique. And of course, the developers most likely specifically allowed me to fight them to see the variety in the bosses. And what I mean by that, one boss had pillars that I can use against him or just to kind of evade him. And then another boss had a mechanic where I had to hit their weak points and do some things like that. And then of course, each boss will allow you, in every fight that you get in, not even just bosses, you can combine different things and abilities to create your own playstyle. That it's actually very spectacular, because most games just have like, oh, do this combination and you're good. This game's like, hey, you want to throw this ability and add it into something else. And even just traversing, you can literally just launch yourself in the air and then go glide or jump on a mount, different things like that, combining in different ways. And so for me, I personally respect the fact that they're giving players that freedom and that the boss fights were actually unique. So just keep that in mind on my opinion and my personal taste. And then when I see the open world, there's so many vast, interesting areas and different things that come into play that I actually really like. Whether it's the faction system, there's a crime system for your behavior, and you can build relationships with the different factions and kind of work with them and for them throughout the story, and just in general, some side missions and things of that nature, which makes it really good. And to me, that is awesome because you can learn new abilities, new attacks. For example, here we're learning someone else's attack, and then we can use it on enemies later on. And so that type of behavior and that type of setup and the freedom is top tier. Okay. So just me complimenting the game. And now we're going to get into what most likely you guys are all here for, the speculation and what you might be worried about. To be honest, combat wise, there's no worry. As you can see, it just looks amazing. It's going to be fun. And it's doing more than most games even try to do. So I got to give them credit for that. I'm going to have a blast combat wise. Now, the questions that I do have, even though, like I said, my club's half full, is things like the story itself. Okay. Like the actual setup for the story, like how impactful is it? An emotional impact? Is it just like, hey, your faction got destroyed, go recruit and go rebuild, and then that's it, you're thrown into this world and the world is the story? This is something that the developers, specifically the PR manager Will Powers, mentioned, that you're creating your story as you go. You know, who you build bonds with, how you play through the different elements and things like that is a bigger picture, which is what a lot of open world games will offer, that are trying to just give you that freedom so you can get out there and really create your own experience within the game. And so I always say this to people that are worried, like, it's just a big open world to be a big open world. Here's my thing. There's plenty of linear good games with good stories. They're easier to tell a story with a linear game. An open world game, there's a lot to do. That's a part of why we play it. So don't play a game if you think, oh, well, I just want a linear story. We got things like The Last of Us for that. But you're looking at a game that is pretty packed with lore, pretty packed with factions and different storylines that are going to be happening. But your gameplay and your freedom of choice in that makes it interesting and makes it a part of the story. Now, I will say, I don't know if the story will be any good. Will it be interesting and memorable, or is the story going to be all these insane things you can do in the open world? I do believe that that's the case, to be honest with you. We're going to have more moments of wonder in the open world, more insanity, let's just say, because of it. And so that's something that I think you got to take into account, and don't really get too trippy about if the story is going to be impactful. And with that same concept, I do want to talk about the open world, because let's be honest, it's an issue as well. People have all expressed the fact that it might be too big of an open world, because they mentioned it's bigger than Skyrim and things of that nature. And here's the thing, I'm not here to defend the game. I had not played the full game yet. I've only had hands-on here and there at some gaming events in the past year and a half. So I don't want to try to stray you away and tell you yes or no. I do know this, that open world, as long as there's fun, interesting things to find, to upgrade my character, things to learn, different abilities, different buffs. And I like open worlds that give me that freedom to go explore and to kind of enjoy that part of the game. And from the footage that you're watching in the background, plus more footage that I have, we get a lot of that. And so I don't think they're straying us in an open world where it's like completely dead. Now, is it your taste of an open world? I don't know what kind of open world you want. I don't think everybody should get everything that they want. I'm sorry to break it to you. The developers have to stick to what they love and what they want to offer in an open world. Regardless of what game it is, it's very unique to that experience, right? So if you want some starving people who are just looking for you to find them some goods, right? Hunt them down something. Is that going to be in the game? I don't know. I'm just giving you a simple, like, oh, he's a helper. Or is it a hero? There's a giant monster destroying the village. Come destroy this dragon, you know? And then that's a different conversation. And so when you watch the footage, yeah, I see a lot of interesting areas. I see a lot of interesting battles. I see some interesting things. And I'm here for the gameplay. And I do love the dialogue and I do love the open world stuff, but it's all connected to me having a cool gameplay experience. And I think this game understands that, because if you watch this gameplay in the background, these dragons are pretty intense and there's a challenge on how to beat them. And then you have to really work to do that, you know, hitting certain spots, using the pole to your advantage and doing different things that can help you succeed. These are gameplay choices that they've made and that you have to also think about. And so for me personally, I am loving the fact that they're doing that and making it an interesting dynamic for the game. personally. And maybe, you are into it just like me, wanting those big boss battles, those big combat scenarios where it's like, let me get creative and try something different and see what works, and again, it depends on the person, it depends on the player, what they like to do and how they want to go. Okay, so those are the two factors. And the third factor that I think some people are going to worry about, and they probably should, the biggest one would be performance. One of the biggest issues I've noticed in a lot of games is the PC versions of games tend to suffer a lot. And that doesn't mean this game will. I actually played it on 4K. I believe it was 60 frames per second. I can't confirm this frames per second, but it had to be 60 or higher when I played myself, and I was fighting against some crazy bosses, and it didn't have any crazy drops at that time. And the footage in the background looks smooth. And Will Powers, the PR manager, basically expressed that he's been playing it on 4K, 60 frames per second, and that's what they're aiming for. And maybe they'll go higher, 120. And, you guys know how to unlock your frames in some games. So I'm assuming that'll be the case as well. I'm not that much of a performance nerd because I like to play games on console because they're just more reliable on release. I'm just going to be honest. But that doesn't mean that there won't be something different that will happen in the near future, right? We'll see what happens in the long run. But I will test it, of course, on PC as well. If they give me an extra copy for that, I'm hoping for the PS5 copy for my review. But then I would love to test it on PC and give you guys my opinions and feelings on performance. Okay. With all that is said, those are the three pillars of concern for most people. And the fourth one, I don't think it's true to worry about this, is the game doing too much? Like you can do anything in here. You can do this, you can do that. That's too much in a game. They should just stick to one thing. I disagree, man. I think people think too small, right? If this is the standard in the future for most open world games to have all this craziness as far as like different freedom opportunities, I say give it to me. I don't need a game to be limited and like you only can do this one thing and you can't add extra features. And it's no, I disagree. Let there be a million of features for my single player experience. Little things like him being able to fish and learn people's abilities and kind of steal an idea and turn it into a combat trick, learning something from a fisherman, turning it into a combat trick and things of that nature. Hey man, that'd be amazing. And just imagine your favorite game adding on all these very cool mechanics. Oh, he's flying a dragon, really? Yeah, why not? I don't see the problem here. And I think that's more of a concern of like, oh, can they pull it off? I mean, we're watching the footage. Of course, performance is the issue within that conversation. Can all those mechanics still flow? It's not going to kill the gameplay because you don't have to do most of those. I don't believe they're going to make you be a full-time fisherman, right? Or something insane like that. You're going to be doing only specific things at certain points. So that's just how I feel about it. And that's what I think everybody should be considering. Like, don't trip over most of these mechanics. Some of that stuff you won't even use. Now, here's the truth. No disrespect to you guys, but when I see combat like this, where there's a variety of attacks, a variety of abilities, I'm not the guy to just do one move and finish the whole game playing one way. I like to experiment. I like to test. I like to have fun and just cool out trying things. And so for me, it's your fault if you go into this game and you don't use all the wrestling attacks, you don't use the environment the way this game allows you, all your special abilities and different mechanics that they let you implement in the game. Okay, that's a personal choice, and those are bad players in my opinion. And not bad, I don't want to make you guys feel bad, but those are players who don't know better. Because when I played this, first thing I did was fight a boss. They didn't put me in the open world. They said, hey, here's a boss fight, and I got cooked. And then I played again, and within 4 days of playing, beat all the bosses and got better at it and learned to do combos. And so for me, it was exciting, interesting, and fun to do that. And so the fact that the game gives you that freedom and you're not just stuck, oh, let me roll, get my stamina up, attack, roll. And, you got magic abilities, as they say. You have, physical slams and punches and kicks and swords and long range attacks and all types of things that you can do within the game, in my opinion, to make it even more interesting for yourself. And there's a variety of bosses that do different things. We went from fighting a dragon to this random guy shooting fireworks at us. Just an example. Okay. So there goes that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The biggest concern I have personally is March. How much of my month am I giving to this game? Pretty much the whole month, if I can. Enjoy it fully and really take it in, instead of like, oh, let me rush. I'm not here to do a review just to kind of get it off. Since I don't work for nobody, I work for myself, I can take my time and do the review when I feel like it. Now, viewer wise, yes, I should review the game on time, but I honestly feel they're going to give me a copy of the game early. I'm going to not be able to finish it and the review date happens. So I'll tell them I'm going to do a review in progress and then just drop a video expressing my feelings about how far I got, 100, 200 hours, whatever it is, depending on how long before I get the review. And then you'll be able to hear my true opinions and feelings and see where I stand in all of that. And from everything I've seen and from my hands-on, I have about over 2 hours of playing, and then 5+ hours of footage that I've watched. And yeah, so I think I know more or less how I'm gonna feel about it, and then we'll see where we go from there. Share it with you guys as we go. But yeah, so that is it, and hopefully this will help your concerns. If you're looking for the guide, which I should have said at the beginning, I have a full breakdown on my channel explaining in detail the experience and all the different things about the game that you can check out and go really get involved with the game. All right, it should be popping up on the channel now. Hope you guys have a blessed day. Take care of yourself. Catch you on the next one.